Thank you for listening to Permission Granted. I'm your host, Juliette Ricci Lagman. Today on the pod, we have Sarah Mattson. She's a spiritual life coach and intuitive healer from Orange County. Sarah and I met through Instagram, and welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Juliet. It's so good to be here. It is such an honor. I've been listening to your podcast and following your work, and you inspire me because you're following your passion. And I think that's exactly what life is about, is following your passion and doing what you feel your calling is. And so thank you
Yeah.
so much for allowing me to do the same on your show here.
Mm. Well, I'm really interested in your journey because you kind of went through a life change about a year ago where you started on a new path. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So really kind of nothing out of the ordinary in terms of my childhood growing up. I grew up in Orange County. It's a beautiful place to be in the suburbs. Got my, college degree got a teaching credential as a teacher, but really went straight from that into being a mom. And I am so blessed. I've been able to be a stay-at-home mom for the past going on 14 years now. But about a year ago, I kind of just was feeling that itch to do more. I mean, being a mom is obviously a huge purpose, but as my kids are now older, being 11 and 13, I'm finding myself like having a little more freedom and kind of getting to rediscover who I am and what my own interests are other than just like kid stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so, with that being said, I also grew up in a Christian background. So I kind of want to give that. I do have that religious background, right? So, like, spirituality has always been a part of my world, just a little more on the Christian side. But basically, a year ago, I was listening to my cousin actually has a podcast, and I was listening to his podcast where he actually had a medium on. And this was so intriguing to me because I have always been really fascinated with mediumship. For whatever reason, I always watched the shows, the Teresa Caputos, the Tyler Henrys. I just always thought mediumship was really cool. But I thought you had to be born with that talent. Like it was not something we all have. But I had an aha moment listening to my cousin's podcast last year. He had a medium named Tina Powers on, and
Mm.
she said something that just was my aha moment, which is that we all have the innate ability to be mediums. We
Yeah.
all have intuition, we all have a psychic ability, and I don't know why it for me was like this, like, what? Like I was mind blown. I couldn't believe that I could have the potential to do this, right? To
Yeah.
channel loved ones, angels, like God, like to actually hear them, and be guided by them. And so with that little little piece of advice that we all have it in us, I took it and I ran with it. And
Yeah.
so I researched everything I could in terms of how to learn how to become a medium. And with that, I found some great mentors online, just lots of podcasts, lots of videos. I'm not a huge reader. I know you're a book writer, so I'm sorry, I'm not a
Ah,
huge reader, but I do a
I'm
lot of
actually a
research.
slow reader, believe it or not.
Okay, okay,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
absolutely love it regardless.
Right, right. So I'm not a huge, haven't dealt like gone into a ton of books, a few here and there on mediumship, but just researched the whole spirituality world. And so I immediately started meditating on a daily basis or as often as I could with my kids, around, especially during the summer, got a little tricky.
Mhm.
But immediately I was able to connect and,
Yeah.
grandparents came through, friends, people who have passed that friends know, like came through and are sending messages. And so I'm like, okay, I fully believe this is real, right? Like you ask
Yeah.
for signs and you get them. And so I'm like, okay, this is the coolest thing. And I'm continually asking for signs like, what am I supposed to do with this though? Like, I think it's awesome. I think it's so cool just for me, but
Yeah.
like, what do I do with this? And so I kind of was like, well, I want to help people. I want others to know about this, but also, you know, in order to do this connection and connecting with the higher self, connecting with angels and guides and all this, it's really hard to hear them if you're blocked, right? Like it's really hard to make that
Exactly.
connection if you A, don't believe it, and B, have a lot of stuff going on blocking
Mhm.
you from receiving those messages. And
Yes.
so with that, there's a lot of inner work to do, looking within and healing. We all have traumas, right? Healing traumas,
Yeah.
becoming aware of your programming and what you've kind of always believed how life should be, and kind of waking up to that. So with that, I decided to try and become a life coach. And I happened to come across Crystal Cook. I was scrolling on, social media is a great place to find people.
Yeah.
So I found Crystal Cook. She had an academy. It was an online academy where I was able to take her courses. And I did get certified as a spiritual life coach through her Alignment Movement Academy. And it is accredited through the International Association of Therapists. So I was like, woohoo, it's like real, it's legit.
It is.
And she also, along with the life coaching, had an intuitive healing program as well, which I was also able to finish and accomplish. So I was like, okay, now I know where I'm going with this. I want to help people to
Yeah.
not only connect through meditation, but also to heal within, because it's really a full circle, right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Like,
It is. It is.
you have to be healed. You have to be authentic, really, right?
Yeah.
Know who you are in order to make those connections. And
I would
so,
say, yeah, I would say, something that we kind of touched on prior to this recording is that well, first of all, you were naturally drawn to the mediumship because it's already in you, so it's like a natural thing, a natural gift. Um, and the other is, touching on healing. You got to heal all the things in you before you can move on and help others. I will just say that doing this podcast, I have gleaned so much information, and in a way, I love it. I hope it's helping people, but it's also selfishly, I am healing through doing this. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
absolutely, absolutely. Within your own mission and
Yeah,
purpose, you're always ever growing and ever
yeah.
learning, and especially doing what you're doing, having people on with different backgrounds and different passions. You're learning all about
Yeah.
it. You've got a wide variety of it now.
Which I love it so much. I find it so interesting. And then also to touch on the angels thing, I've been in the past few months learning a lot about talking to our angels and essentially, not feeling alone, as in we have to do it on our own and we have to be self sufficient and, being able to lean in and um, lean on to our angels, whether we had known them on earth or not. you
Right.
know, it's
Absolutely. Yeah. No,
yeah.
I think that that is probably the biggest thing that people struggle with is like
Mhm.
everyone feels so alone. Like I'm the only one going through this and I'm like suffering and I'm falling apart and why me? And we all have so many hardships in life. But if you know that there are like really truly believe that you have guides and you have angels, and if you want I can explain the difference between the two because I'm like learning all about
Please.
that. Okay, so I love this. And if I go like in directions, I could be all over the place with this stuff. I
Yeah,
love
no,
it.
I'm so
Um,
excited. This is exactly what I want is to learn all about this and how important and how accessible it is for
yes.
everybody.
Well, that's the main thing is it's so funny because people don't believe it, but I'm like, well, have you asked them to help you? And it's like, well, no.
Yes.
It's
Have
like,
you bought
okay,
the
well, try
lotto
it.
ticket?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so from what I've learned and researched is that we all have at least one spirit guide from the time like before we're even born and forever. And a spirit guide is someone who actually has lived an earthly life, but has evolved so much as a soul that they're ready to help guide other souls that are living earthly lives. And you typically have one throughout your whole life, but then you also may have some come and go through different seasons of life. So
Mm.
depending on, what you're going through, childhood, adolescence, jobs, careers, retirement, whatever, right? And then you also have your angels. And there are so many angels, but our Archangel Michael is one that comes around a lot for a lot of people.
Okay.
And I don't know all the angels, but angels, I do know the difference between a guide and an angel is that angels have not lived an earthly life. So they are
Okay.
kind of a higher up spirit, kind of a closer to God. I mean, I hate to say there's a hierarchy because we are all one. We are all one from the same, but there's
Yeah.
kind of like, I guess, an order of business. And so spirit guides are kind of um, here. And then, up above that, you've got your angels. And then above that, there's God or the universe, however you want to perceive it as.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the difference. But you also have angels that are with you throughout life and they come and go. And I have heard there are so many unemployed angels. All you have to do is ask.
Oh my God. Can we talk about that? Okay. Because it's free will, right? So they can't just jump in. You have to ask for help.
Absolutely. They cannot intervene in your life unless
Mm.
you ask them to, because, our whole purpose here is to learn and to have free will and make those choices. But obviously, if you're asking for guidance, they will intervene, but not in a way maybe you won't actually hear their voice, but they place those thoughts in our head. They put those callings in our heart.
Ooh.
You think it's your own thoughts, right? But a lot of times
Yes.
when we feel this like this tug, there's a reason why we call it a gut feeling, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we there's actual energy that we're feeling from somewhere. Well, where is that coming from? Um,
Yes.
so they definitely will intervene and will guide you through your path and your journey because the reality is, yes, we have free will, but ultimately we are souls that before we're born on this earth, we choose what lessons we want to learn and what our
Mhm.
path will be. And ultimately, no matter what, we're going to end up where we're meant to be.
Yeah.
However, there's always going to be these, exits along the way or forks in the road. And so we may choose to take a detour that takes us a lot longer to get to that end result.
Yes.
But if we ask our angels or our guides, our spirit guides to help us with that, they're going to help, plant that little seed in our head that tells us to go the right way and not take that detour, not take that long
So,
detour.
so this, I'm just going to ask it. How do you talk to your angels? Like, in a literal sense or
Yeah,
logical
yeah.
almost.
Right. No, totally. Well, first of all, they're always listening. But it's you don't physically have to speak. In the spiritual world, everything is telepathic. And this goes to, we were talking about telepathy tapes, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
this goes into that whole realm of in the non-physical world, you do not need words. Um, and that's where in meditation, when I say I hear something, I'm actually not physically hearing it. It's
yeah,
it's a telepathic audio, if that makes sense. And I don't know
yeah.
how to describe it. But same goes for when you're speaking to whether it's your spirit guides, your angels, or even loved ones that have passed. You don't
Mhm.
have to, I may say, speak to them or just ask or just talk to them. It doesn't mean you have to be like talking to yourself out loud, like I feel so weird because I'm speaking out loud. No, it can be just in your head, your thoughts and you're
Yeah.
sending it to them, right? So
Well,
that's all
I
it takes.
always I always think of it as like a meditative experience, which is very fruitful. Like I sit and get quiet and ask the angels my question, whatever it may be. Usually it's currently around money,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, and or guidance, whatever. But are there other ways? I mean, could you be in the middle of 100 people and be doing that?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I feel that a lot of the time. Like I could be somewhere super crowded and just like if you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious or anything, I mean, you can they're never they never take a day off, you know? I mean, they're there for you. And this is the thing I think our human brains have trouble with is like two things at once, being two places at once. Like, wait, but if they're just with me all the time, like, don't they have stuff to do in heaven or eternity, whatever you want to call it? You know, I know there's a lot of, I don't want to like offend anyone with certain words, but I just have my own way of terminology. But anyways, you'd think like, aren't they busy doing this or that? Or even loved ones
Yeah.
who have passed, right? Like they can't possibly just be like watching me all day. And no, they're not. Like it's not like that. But when you call upon them, they're there and they can be two places at once. They could be with you and your sister at the same time or you know what I mean? They are a bird's eye view. And
Yeah.
it's this whole other dimension that we just don't we can't comprehend as humans that you could possibly be this and that. We're always this or that. And
Yes.
so no, they are always on for you and they know when you need them. And all you have to do is call on them and they're there and they hear you.
I
Um,
think that element of, or another consciousness or being able to tap into consciousness is really interesting. And I think it would be, that's what I love about the telepathy tapes as well. And us having this conversation is that, it would be nice that it's a little more broadly accepted and understood because, we're kind of going through a lot of changes right now, in the world, and
Absolutely.
it would be nice to have something else to lean on and comfort people other than just the 3D or dimensional, 2D
Yes,
things.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that that is something that I have learned is so important because, you know, growing up Christian, like it was a really strong part of my life. And then I went through you know, we all go through phases, but where, you know, when you have kids, you become so vulnerable, things happen that, you know, illnesses, medical things, health issues,
yeah.
and you just start to feel, and then not only that, you look around at the world and there's wars going on and there's tragedies, and you just feel like, where is God? What is this? Like, this is
Exactly.
not, you know, but the reality is we are looking at it from such a human perspective. And when you can have whatever religion it is, to be honest, I think regardless it's better than nothing, right? Because it's
Yeah,
giving you something like you said to lean back on and to have faith in that
yeah.
you're not alone in this. And heck, even if it's a placebo effect, it's doing something, right? That's why it's called
Exactly.
placebo effect. So what are you risking by believing? You
Well, you have
know?
nothing to lose. And
Yeah.
I personally don't feel it's placebo because, I've seen things and
Yeah, absolutely.
experienced things. So
Yeah.
I believe in it, but you don't have to take my word for it.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
absolutely. And I think that's the key though, is like if you believe in it, then that's your reality and it's real. And if you don't
yeah,
believe in it, then that may be your reality and that's real. And we could talk about near-death experiences. And that's where I kind of feel like I've been kind of like everything for me makes sense and is validated through that because there are thousands and thousands of people who have had near-death experiences and experienced pretty similar things. And how
yeah,
do you deny that? That like
yeah,
this is something they've all experienced out of the body in consciousness.
yeah.
And so, you know, I believe it. I believe it. But yeah, so we're going off on a tangent with that. But I do believe that having faith in something more is really going to help you mentally, you know,
And
with
I
life
think
struggles.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something, we really do create our own reality. And I was even as I was driving this morning thinking about that. And I was like, I literally see people in their cars or on the street and they look stressed out and like they're struggling. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, we really do um, create our own reality in that, what we believe. And of course, it trickled down. I mean, recently I had been doing really well, and then I feel like I've gone off track in the last couple of weeks. So I'm like, okay, I got to find my center again.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that's a common thing. I mean, like it's a roller, it's the ups and downs, and that's life, We all have those
Yeah,
moments, but you're right, as I always say as humans, because it's like I differentiate like we are part human, we are part soul. And so
yeah,
there's really this in our world we live in today. We're just all functioning on the human side. And it's
yeah,
like we've been so programmed, like you said, to be busy, 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 busy. Don't be lazy. You better be stressed out. You got to fill your schedule. You got to do work. You got to go, 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 go. Otherwise you're lazy.
yes,
And it's like, no, no,
yeah,
I don't buy into that. That's our programming. And I don't think that's how we were made to be, even as humans.
yeah,
Like, we need rest. Rest is
yes,
just as important. I make sure I get my sleep, like
yeah, yeah,
so I think that's a part of our human programming that we equate busyness with success.
yeah.
And
And you got to
I
work hard and,
yeah. And
yeah,
so my whole thing is with my life coaching is that we can find like what is your programming specifically for you and what are your traumas and what are your limiting beliefs because we all have them. And
yeah,
so let's all figure out, become aware of that and then figure out, do we like that? Do I like that I think this way? Am I just going along with this because this is what I'm told to do and this is the system? Or
mm-hmm,
am I ready to like think critically for myself and my soul and look within and find the
yeah.
answers within and realize that there's so much more to life than
Mm.
these go, 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 busy, busy, busy?
And you seem to have a really good balance of like caring for yourself, getting outside, all of those things, and doing the work that you love. So,
Y-
um, have you always been like that?
a physical fitness has kind of always been a thing. I've been making sure I'm physically healthy since I was probably like 18. Like in high
Yeah.
school, I was like eating fast food every day, and I got to a point where
Mhm.
I just felt gross. And it was like, I can't sustain this. And something just clicked in me where it was like, okay, we gotta like move? But
Yeah.
I'm also one of those people, and see, this is something I don't know where I get it. It's something within me where I don't mind like like punishing myself to to feel good, if that makes sense. Like I love the feeling of like being sore after working out. I love that feeling of like trying to do bicep curls as much weight as I can. Like there's this
Yeah.
like something about like I like it where some people just hate working out and that's okay. Like if it's
Yeah.
not your thing, don't push yourself to do it. But I do think that there's other ways to do it like you said, just even getting outside,
Yeah.
go for a walk, being out in nature literally does something to your nervous system. Like
Yes.
scientifically, it's good for you. So, it's not about looking great or anything like that. It's just about because I think too, as society, I'm so glad we're heading this direction, which is that our mental health is so important, but it's so linked to our physical health.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of on this goal of the trajectory of society going from, okay, we know physical health is important. We know mental health is important. Now let's talk spiritual health because they are
Yeah.
all connected.
Yes.
You can't be physically well if you're not mentally well, and you can't be mentally or physically well, in my opinion, if you're not spiritually well.
Yeah.
So it's like it's hard because it's like we have so much to do in life to stay healthy.
I know.
It like feels like what am I supposed to even eat? When do I have time to
I
work
know.
out? When am I supposed to meditate? And it's like, I get it. It's a lot of pressure, but at the same time, it's worth the balance of sanity, you know?
And you kind of
Um,
have to balance all the things all at once for it to work because it's not just I am curious about this a lot, the chicken or the egg. Do I not sleep well because I have anxiety, or do I have anxiety because I don't sleep well? Well, it all really works together. So it's just that
yeah.
finding that, if you will, three-pronged approach to,
Yeah.
touching on
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all just a balance of all of those things. And it's not always easy, but if you can take just a little bit of time, you're worth it. We prioritize things as a society that maybe we don't need to, and we could throw it out and do some meditation instead or go for a walk
Yes,
instead, you
turn
know.
off the TV.
Exactly. Scrolling TV, whatever. I mean, we all have to enjoy our guilty pleasures every once in a while,
Yeah,
but
but not
um,
every
you know,
day.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
What would you say, if there was one thing that would help folks today? What would you recommend? As in, like, everybody's stressed out about the state of the world,
mhm.
and maybe feeling stress in general, tariffs and this and that and this and that.
Yeah.
Is there one thing you would recommend to kind of ease that pain?
I mean, world pain is difficult. First and foremost, I think it's slow down. I think
Yeah,
we're all moving way too fast, you know?
yeah.
Slow down and take a breath. And that's another thing, like going and taking a walk. Literally, don't, if you can't even go do that, literally stop and take one deep breath. I
Mm,
guarantee you, you'll feel better. A
yeah,
deep, like 4 second inhale and 6 second exhale, and you will reset yourself. So that's
yeah.
number one, because everyone can do that and it's easy. But slowing down, I think, and this is where I struggle because I think self-healing can be confused with being selfish. And
Right.
I don't want to
Yes.
confuse those two, but I truly, truly think we have to put ourselves first. It's like
Yeah.
in the airplane. You can't help others until you put your oxygen mask on first. And
Yeah.
so it may sound selfish because I know there's so much going on in the world and it does affect people. And I'm not going to act like it's not affecting people, but we need to really look within and see what does watching all of that and seeing all of that do for you internally. Okay.
Yeah. Ooh.
If it creates a passion for you to fight for things to be better, by all means do it. Do it
Yeah.
because that's what you're meant to do and that's your calling. If it is so draining and makes you angry and anxious and worried and scared and fearful, it's probably better to stay away from it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I don't want you to be ignorant because you do need to know what's going on in the world and that's important. We can't just
But
turn a blind eye.
yeah,
But
but pick and choose when and where you and how much you get your information,
right.
basically. Like, there are some ways to get information, news, that are a little bit gentler and more honest than others.
Exactly. And know their biases, right? Like know that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think media is just so fear-mongering and
Yeah.
I'm all about like life is about love. Life is about we are one, we are connected. We should love I hate to say should. I shouldn't say should. Should and shouldn't are not a part of my vocabulary anymore because there's no shoulds. We are going to do what we need to do and things will unfold. But it's just I think we need to take a an internal look at how media is portrayed and
Yeah.
is that good for us to take in, and is it,
Yes.
and again, like I was saying, I don't think it's normal for us to go all the time. I also don't think it's normal for us to know exactly what's going on all over the world. I know
Yeah.
I really don't want to get people upset when I say that, but I really think that we were meant to be in these tribes and these communities, and that's
It's
kind of all
true.
you know what I mean? And so,
Yeah,
and trust me, there's plenty of problems within our own tribes and communities to
that we
focus
can deal
on
with.
that we don't need to look out anywhere else because trust me, I've got my own fish to fry at home, you know? So,
Oh my God.
so I guess my message for that is do your best to find your peace with what's going on in the world and pick and
Yeah.
choose your battles with it and what you're
Yes.
willing to put yourself through because really like having that energy go towards that could be at your own detriment. And
I
to
saw
me,
something the other day on Instagram. Somebody posted something about letter writing campaigns, to the Supreme Court, and how effective it is. And I just thought that was so interesting because, I'm not one to go stand and protest, but I can make phone calls. I can write
yeah.
letters. There's definitely something that fits you, if you're so inclined, pick one thing, one cause, and pick one way to get vocal about it and then just go forward.
Right, right. And it
Yeah.
has to bring you joy and
Hmm.
passion. You know what I mean? Like if it's draining and exhausting, it's not probably not the right thing. And so like
Exactly.
for me and that's the beauty of in like being an individual and having your own opinion and having your own passions is there's someone out there for everything, you know?
Exactly.
And so like for me personally, it's my own community. So like I'm a part of the PTA. I want
Yeah.
to know where the school is putting their money. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I focus locally. I'm like I will in my own community, I have a passion with like what's going on and how it's
Yeah.
going to affect our, neighborhoods and our kids and things like
Which
that.
is great because you have a direct impact. So it's
Right,
like, yeah,
right. So, and that's what brings me joy and passion, and I'm willing to spend the time and the hours to work on that,
yeah.
whereas other things going on are just kind of beyond me and beyond my control. And, we can,
Well, it's
it's a difficult
overwhelming.
thing. It's
And
overwhelming.
then you
Yeah.
want to just give up.
Right. And
Um,
life can be so much better if you just, have this like outlook of doing your part to just be love. If you can
yes.
just be love, everything else, like if you can be that example, people will see that and that's all you need to be, right? And
I think that's beautiful. Like
so
I love that message so much. That's what we need more of.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's hard because not everybody's loving, but that's okay. They're their own
Yeah,
people and you got to just like be you and be loving regardless. And I think
and
that's
love
the
them
whole thing
anyway.
is with the spirituality is you kind of are able to zoom out and like
Yeah,
kind of detach from your personal story, right? And
yeah,
not like if you can see something from the outside in a neutral way without having a reaction, an emotional reaction, then
yeah,
you're at a place where you're stable and you're not going to stress out and have anxiety and you can be aware of it and you can even have an opinion of it, but it's not going to stir up these emotions within you that are going to create physical manifestations of illness or things like
yes,
that. So
yes.
yeah.
I want to switch a little bit to um, your offerings, basically.
Yes, yes.
What are your offerings, and what does a session or group of sessions look like with you, and
Yes,
all the good
thank you.
stuff?
Thank you. I'm so glad to switch gears to that. That's fun. Okay, so basically right now I'm offering one-on-one sessions and you can go on my Instagram, sarahmatson.healer, and I have all the links there where you can schedule with Calendly, you can schedule a session with me. But let me go through what the program would look like if you
Yes.
booked with me. So
Yes.
basically, we would meet for an intro call and discuss and identify your needs and goals, because obviously we all have our own unique things we want to accomplish. With that, we would identify, do you need personal healings? Like, do we need to do some healing sessions and work on some traumas? Let's clear your chakras. Let's, do some healing meditations. Meditations are so key with this
Yeah.
too. And so I'll go into that after I talk about this program. So then we'll also determine, and we've discussed this, what are your limiting beliefs?
Mhm.
What have you been taught your whole life that is maybe not true about yourself? Like, I can't do
Mm.
it on my own. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. All of these things we'll go through what personally you struggle with, and we'll work on how to flip that and reprogram your thinking. And in order to do that, it's a lot of affirmations, a lot of repetition, and it's reprogramming your brain. And it's almost one of those things like if you tell yourself something enough, you'll start believing it. And it's really true.
Yes.
Your brain doesn't know the difference between things really happening and your imagination. So
Yes.
if you can tell yourself, I am this way, your brain will learn that, and you'll reprogram your thoughts. So your automatic thoughts will no longer be automatic negative thoughts. They'll be whatever it is that we reprogram you to believe.
I love that. I want to come circle back to that yeah, let's
Yeah,
circle back to
yeah.
that
So
later.
that's pretty much it, but then it'll be working on your connection with, spiritually. So, because a lot of people struggle with connecting, right? Like
Hmm.
with God, universe, guides,
With dialing
angels.
in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it'll be kind of deepening that connection with your spirit team so that you can connect with them personally. You don't need me, like you can do it yourself. And so the ultimate goal is self-love,
Yes.
healing, and clearing blockages, and then connecting spiritually. And ultimately it's all about loving yourself so that you can love
Yes.
others. And so that would
I
be
love
my
it.
kind of my program. Obviously it'll be personally tailored to what it is that you have going on. And then with that, the meditation, I do have like some really great, I guess, bullet points on how to get into a meditative state, because I think a lot of people struggle with that because our
Yeah.
minds wander and we think about things and am I doing it right? And, people get distracted. And so I actually do have a course on meditation. It's called The
Woo.
7 Steps to Diving Deeper into Meditation. If you go in that link in my Instagram, you can find it. It's $7 because it's a 7 step thing, $7. So it's
I love
super,
it.
super, reasonable and easy, but I can go through it with you right now. It's imagination is key. So
Mhm.
when we're meditating, if we can use our imagination, we can really put, like I said, our brain wants to think one way, but if we can imagine something and be childlike and free, we can really open up to the possibilities of, if you can believe it, it can be a reality.
Yeah.
So visualize. So using your imagination. 2, using prana breathing. And what is prana
Mhm.
breathing? It's deep inhales, imagining the life force. Like when you breathe in, you're basically imagining that you are breathing in the universe or God within your
Mhm.
body and within your soul.
Yeah.
3 is opening up your chakras. So I'm sure people are familiar with chakras, but we've got, chakras throughout their energy centers in our bodies. And so it's
Yeah.
just opening those up, because a lot of us are blocked because we either are blocked through the stresses and anxieties of life, or we purposefully have guards up. We're blocking from unwanted people in our lives.
Yeah.
And so that those blockages are gonna like block you from actually receiving messages from spirits too. So, but not only opening, when you're done, you have to make sure you're closing. Next is gratitude. So
Oh.
when we have gratitude for things, we are opening up, we are raising our vibration, we are lifting our frequency. And the whole goal in getting to either your higher self or angels or people who have passed is to be able to reach them and meet them in this all-knowing consciousness going beyond the veil. And the way we do that is they're at such a high frequency that we can't normally reach them here in this human level. But if we can raise our vibration, we can meet them. And so
Yeah.
things that raise your vibration are gratitude. And so anything you can think of that just, I know we all have moments in our life where we've felt overjoyed or just
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm in heaven, I'm in paradise, I don't want to leave, that whatever it is that in your mind brings you that, think about it during your
Yeah.
meditation because that is where the universe is like, oh, okay, I can reach this person. They've opened up. It opens up the
Yes.
gates.
More of
So,
that.
yeah. So more of that. And then you imagine yourself as love and you
Mm.
detach from
Wow.
your story. So you're not Juliette, you are love. And that
Ooh.
means you love every single soul that's on this earth and every single soul that's in other realms, right?
Yeah.
That it is unconditional love no matter what. And there's some exercises you could do to kind of practice being love because there's people in the world that maybe we don't think we love.
Love.
and and so we can practice saying we love them even though our heart is like I really,
Yeah.
yeah. But in the meditative state, you're trying to detach from that ego, that story, and you are being just this, you're reaching your higher self, and your higher self is all knowing and all unconditional love.
I love
So,
it.
yeah, okay. So be love. Okay, two more.
No, I
Then
love
you
it.
have to invite spirit in. So once you've done your gratitude and once you are love, you are inviting spirit in. So whoever it is you're reaching out to, if it's your spirit guides, angels, your higher self, God, Jesus, Buddha, whoever, maybe, mom who's passed, grandpa who's passed, whoever it is, you invite them in because this is where
Mm.
you're, like you said, how do they know I'm talking to them or how do I talk? So that's you, and you don't have to say it out loud, but you're thinking, you're telepathically allowing them to merge with you. Like,
Yeah.
and we have to be careful with that, right? So always making sure it's people that you want to allow in and
Yeah.
um and then you just let go. And from there, that's where the
Mm.
you turn everything off and you're quiet. You let go. And you will hear things. And when I say hear things, it'll be kind of thoughts in your head. But here's
Yeah.
how you know the difference between whether it's your own thoughts or actual channeling from whoever it is you invited in. Um, so for me personally, know that when I begin my meditation, I always, in my thoughts, refer to myself as I because I'm me. It's me as first person I. When I reach a state of meditation where I know I have made that connection, the thought to myself is now you.
Mm.
So whoever I'm channeling is referring to me as you. So if that makes any sense, I don't know if that helps kind of differentiate between my thoughts and whoever it is, whatever spirit I'm channeling.
I think also plainly put, like you touched on in the beginning, the gut instinct, that's kind of how you know that it's the truth, if you will, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. And
And
then the biggest thing where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I think I just made that up. Like I totally made that up. So ask for a sign. I guarantee you,
uh
you will see it.
okay, so remember when you and I'm just gonna be very vulnerable here.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love
Um,
it.
you channeled my cat Oliver, who I have his
Yeah.
little name
Oh my
tattooed right
gosh.
here.
Oh.
He was the love of my life, and um, anyway, I could go on, but you channeled him, and it was pretty spot on. And I think that you mentioned bow tie was the sign to look
Oh
for.
yeah. Yes, yes.
guess what? After you sent me the email,
Uh-huh.
bow tie kept showing up in movies and TV shows like
Oh.
probably 3 or 4 times, and I was like, bam, 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 bam. It was incredible.
Oh my gosh, I love you. Thank you. I love you. I do love you. I meant
Yeah,
to say I love it. I do love you too. I
yeah,
love that. I love that. And I thank you so much for sharing that because I can tell you, no matter how many times I have done this and gotten signs a million times, every time I do it and I get a new sign, I'm waiting because I just want to make sure it's real. And
oh,
so
it's
that is the best.
legit.
Yeah, that is the best way to know if it's real because when you ask for a sign, whoever it is you're channeling, they already know because they're up above here. They're like bird's eye view. They know what's going on. They don't see timelines the way we do. So it's like
Yeah,
literally they already know what you're going to experience tomorrow. And so they will make sure whatever it is that they put in your head, whatever that sign was, that they'll make sure you come across it
yes.
within the next few days, if not I'll say give it a week, you know.
I love it so
And
much.
so that's the best way to get validation, and it literally will throw you off, like you'll be like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh. And that's how
it's
you
like
know it is
shocking.
yeah, yeah. And that's how you know it is the sign because it catches your attention. And that's
Yeah,
them. That's them. They're like, all right, I'm throwing this sign in there. And they know that you're gonna see it.
wink.
And yeah, and you're gonna feel it. And when you see it and you feel it, you know it. And there's just no denying that.
I
So
love it.
so always,
Um,
always ask for signs. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. And then was there one more on the list?
Oh no, so it was let go. Let go was the last
Ah,
one. So yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of wrap on up on time, but the one burning question I have, and actually before I ask that, you had touched on automatic thoughts, and I
Oh,
just want
yes.
to, yeah, I just want to touch on the gratitude piece. Like, I've told this story before, but I'll say it again. I had a very good friend, and for months and months and months, we would do gratitude texts every morning of like 3 or 5 things that we were grateful for.
Oh,
And
that's
we kind
great.
of kept each other accountable. It was the most fruitful thing that I did all day, aside from meditating. And I have not been doing it lately, and I think that's why I'm in a little bit of a funk, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's a
So
lot going
just
on in the world too, but but yes, yes, yes. It helps bring you out of that funk for sure.
Yeah, and I just
For
want to
sure.
point that out that that is one of the biggest takeaways that I could mention and you're mentioning is gratitude, because it's just so easy to be like, oh, but I'll be happy when I get that new
Hmm.
car or whatever, take that trip. Um, but anyway, my question is, for you and your burgeoning business, what is the dream? What does the future dream look like?
Oh my gosh, this one is hard. And to be honest, like I feel like I should know by now, but it's difficult because there's so many avenues that I feel like I want to take, you know. I think first and foremost, the one-on-one with people, just helping life coach, like that's first and foremost.
Yeah.
But I sometimes see myself like doing speaking,
Yes.
I don't know in what setting, whether it's like retreats or workshops, but just kind of like as I was talking about the diving deeper into meditation, like just doing a workshop in person with people that
Yeah.
struggle with getting into that place and then actually going through and doing guided meditation with them
Perfect.
would be kind of something I imagine myself doing. Um, and I also am in the works of how I laid out my program of what I would do if we worked on one-on-one. I'm in the works of creating an online based course to where you don't have to, schedule me in person. You could just purchase the course and walk through step by step.
Yeah.
Now, it obviously wouldn't be as like, you don't have my feedback, right? But it's
Yeah.
hopefully something that is attainable for people and they could work through the program that way. But ultimately, it's just to serve people and allow them to see that they are worthy, that they are,
Yeah,
that I know life is hard, but life is good. And if you can just find the things to be grateful for, it's not denying the hardships we face, but it's
totally.
just it's the glass half full. And when you have that mentality, your life is just better. It will bring you more joy. And so if
Yeah,
I can help just make a difference in people's lives in that way, through guided meditations and just through talking with them, because a lot of people
yeah.
just sometimes need to discuss their feelings and emotions, and I'm here for it.
And there's another layer beyond, and talk therapy again is really fruitful and amazing. But there's also just having a spiritual discussion or a roundabout discussion about whatever's needed to be talked about in a safe space. I mean, it's so valuable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't have exactly a pinpoint of like, this is exactly where I want to
no.
be. And maybe that's something I should, I've got to start kind of vision board and get things going. But so far, I will say I have enjoyed watching my own progress the past year, because it's
Yes.
amazing to just, if you ever feel like, oh, I haven't made a lot of progress in my business. Well, but look at where I was a year ago and
Yeah.
look at me
Yeah.
now. I'm on your podcast.
Yes.
It's so fun and
Yeah.
exciting, and I get to share this with the world. So, it's all, there's no rush. There's no rush.
Yeah.
But also I do eventually want to be able to, help, because right now my husband's like the sole provider. So to be able to help out with that a little bit is great.
Yeah.
And just help the world see that there is love out there.
I
It's not
love
all
it.
bad. It's
I love it. Well, you're such a spark of joy, and it's so refreshing. And I do have to say, looking at your website as I was perusing this week, it is really fantastic. And so, you got to pat yourself on the back how
Oh,
far you've
thank
come.
you. Thank
Your
you.
Instagram posts are really inspiring. And so, I don't think we always have to exactly know where to go. I think, or where we're going, if you will.
Right,
But I
right.
think being able to sort of talk to your angels and get some guidance, I
Yes,
think
yeah.
that is actually a pretty useful tool in the journey, and just being present.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much. We're going to kind of end here. And I'm just so grateful that you were on the podcast.
Oh, yay. Well, I am so grateful that, you were open to having me. I appreciate it so
Absolutely.
much, because I know I'm fresh and new at this, but at the same time, you took a risk, and I hope, I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad it worked out.
You did amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.